No.
No, you've been around for a while.
Man. Welcome. What's good, people? It's your boy Mecca, aka the Bronze Bomber. Welcome to the Exs and Os podcast. We've been away for a minute, but listen, life gets like that. But you know, we're always here, always trying to keep relevant. It's been an eventful couple of months. So we got our special guest on here, the Manchester Titans, the national champs. If you don't know,
National
get to know.
champs.
You don't know, get to know. But like I said, it's been a long time coming, so we finally got the national champs on here, the Titans, you know, the greatest Titans, the Titans of all time, the Kings of the North, you know, all that jazz. But yeah, as always, like I said, like, share, subscribe on all things like X's and O's. And for those of you that don't know, we have finally, after a slugfest, finally launched our merchandise, kind of in cooperation with Football America UK. So go check that out. Go check out our merchandise. If you want to get your swagger up, if you want to take someone out on the date, if you want to take your miss out on the date, get your swagger up, get your dripping. Like I said, the best place to go to is the Exs and Os team store via the Football America. So we've got the national champs in the building. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. For all you people in the free seats, I see you. It's going to be a long night. I see a couple of you in there already, itching to go. Like I said, this is a forum for us just to catch up, just to vibe. You know, there's been a lot happening. You know, the tide has changed. You know, some people have been usurped.
Definitely.
You know, things have completely changed. But what's good? Introduce yourselves. We got Lucas. We got QB1, Sam Bluefield. We got the General, Mr. Fossey. What do you say? So introduce yourselves, your position, and a little bit about yourself.
Go on, Lucas. You go first.
All right. So yeah, my name's Lucas Krzysztofiak. I play offensive line for the Titans. I've played some left tackle, some left guard this season, and yeah, I was playing left guard in the final. And yeah, I've been at Manchester this was my second season. So my first season was the COVID year, and yeah, this was my first sort of official season.
Go.
Go
QB1.
on, Sam.
Yeah, my name's Sam Bloomfield, quarterback at the Manchester Titans.
Jeez.
I was playing quarterback in the final, and yeah, I've been at Manchester since 2017. Before that, I was playing in Lancashire when they were in their Premiership days, and yeah, I suppose we'll find out more as the show goes on.
100%.
Um,
Hey, you know, it's gonna be one of them nights. Listen, shout out to any Warriors that might tune in the free seats. Like I said, everyone is welcome. Mr. Fossey, what do you say?
Everybody comes. Yeah, Sam Fossey. Some people know me, some don't. Been playing for Manchester since 2019.
Okay.
So 2019 got cut short, COVID season, and then first proper season this season, everything going out. Beforehand, played for London Warriors. That's where I started. So nice little bit there, playing them in the final. Played for Sheffield before moving to Manchester, and also played a couple of years out in Florida as well. And then played safety, corner, strong, wherever I'm needed, I'll play. That's
Okay.
how it is.
It's a little bit of a Swiss Army knife. I see.
You said it.
Yeah,
You said it.
I hear you. First and foremost, you know, as is customary, you know, I want to credit the London Warriors. Like I said, we have to give them credit. Like I said,
Of
you know,
course.
the last 8 years, you know, they've been the only team. You know, they've only lost twice. Yeah, they've only lost to two teams in the finals. You know, and they're one of 4 teams. You know, that have won the Prem Natty since 2008. So we have to kind of give them credit for that. However, I'd like to also give a special thank you to Tony Allen. I'm gonna tell you why.
Go on.
If not for you, Tony Allen, I hope you're listening, and I hope you come across it. If not for you, we would have never witnessed that Tom Jones hurdle on someone's son. Listen, I'm telling you, yeah. Shout out hashtag the NFL Academy. Listen, a wise man once told me, my Delilah,
He's right.
100%. Guys,
Play was ridiculous.
It was legendary. It was absolutely legendary. The game was legendary, and I think it was a massive advert for Britball. It was a good display of two hungry teams, in whatever respect. So let's start off. Let's take it back to let's say maybe June 2001. Yeah, where you guys I think you got beaten 83-0, or if I'm corrected, by the Warriors. So, or you lost to a high margin to the Warriors. What impact would you say that kind of had, in terms of humbling you guys, and what difference did that result make?
In 2001?
Was it 2001?
Or do you mean the Olympians in the
the
national
Olympian
final?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So none of us were part of that team. There are only a few guys who are on this Titans team now that were kind of part of that. But they talk about it, and it had. So I think the Titans had just come up to Division 1, and they just earned their promotion, and they were going along to play the Olympians in that national final. And I actually played against the Titans that year. No, sorry, not that year. It was something like 2011 or 10 or something like that. And I played against the Titans, and they seemed like this crazy, formidable force. Like, it wasn't like a huge score, but they beat us quite comfortably at Lancashire. So then when they go to the final and they play the Olympians and they get absolutely blown out of the water, like, that was a huge eye-opening moment for lots of us at Lancashire, because we were like, how on earth are we ever going to get to that level that the Olympians seem to be at? But the guys on the team talk about that as like a very humbling experience, and that but maybe they didn't prepare hard enough the following year, because they came straight back down to Division 2 after that. And then I think it's something like they were in Division 2 until about, and I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but maybe around 2014 or 15, when there was like a realignment.
Yeah.
And they got put up into Division 1. And then they were doing okay. Like in 2016, they made the Division 1 playoffs, I think, for the first time, but they got beat in the first round by Sandwell Steelers.
Okay.
And then in 2017, myself and a group of guys from a university called UCLan, which is like Preston, quite a big group of us moved over from a combination of UCLan and the Lancashire Wolverines. We moved over to Manchester for numerous reasons, which, well,
we'll move on.
We'll move on for now. But if you press me, we can talk. But yeah, we moved over, and that year, 2017, we got promoted into the Premiership, and then we just built year after year after year. And then guys like Lucas and Fossey came along in like 2019, and here we are. So it was, I think, really 2016 and 2017 were the big years where the team was like starting to realize that this is not Sunday League football anymore. And then we really got rolling in 2017 with that, that Premiership promotion and that national final against the Olympians, where we actually ended up getting revenge, for those guys, because we got the first rolling clock in a national final against the Olympians. So that was sweet for some of those guys who were still part of that team back then.
Big history.
I mean, it's crazy because I think that the last time Manchester brought home a natty, or like a Prem natty, was with probably the Manchester Spartans.
1990.
I was probably 3 years old. So
I had just been born. I was just born that
just
year.
Been born.
1990. Yeah.
Damn.
1990. So I was born the year that they won their last national title, but like their top division national title.
So
I was born
really,
7 years after.
okay.
Baby.
So really and truly, 2022. Let's not discredit it because it's been slow cooking for a long time. Yeah. So Sam, let me ask you this, because I know on the 4th of September you woke up a different man. Yeah, I know you did. But what was the turning point, Sam? Because what would you say was a massive turning point in terms of the team vibe, in terms of the team chemistry, in terms of when you guys said enough is enough? What was the turning point?
It was losing to the Warriors at their place in 2018 in the playoffs. We had lost to them. Sorry, 2019. We had lost to the Warriors in 2018 going to their place, and we thought, oh, we were just happy to be there. Like, we were so happy. And then the following year, we slipped up a few games in the regular season. Like, we realistically probably should have won the North that year, but we slipped up. Tamworth. So you can't slip up when you're playing games. Like what you said at the start about respect to the Warriors for what they've done. Winning's not easy. Like every single win in the Premiership, you earn. And so we scraped through to the playoffs because Merseyside and Sheffield had a draw. And until that happened, we were out of the playoffs. When they had that draw, we were in. And so we went down there. People were like berating us on social media because we posted a video of us celebrating in the changing rooms when we found out we were going to the Warriors. And people were like, "Do you not know that you're going to play the Warriors? Like, why are you celebrating that?" And we were like, "What do you think we play for? Like, we're not like, yeah, sure, it's fun. We play for fun, of course, but we're playing to win." So we went down to the Warriors thinking that we'd be in a better situation than we were the previous year. And they just did the same thing to us. So we stepped up our training the following year. We stepped up our recruitment. COVID hit us. That's the year that Fossey joined us. Lucas, was it 2019 for you as well? Or
no, 2019, I was in Germany.
That's it. So we kind of stepped up our recruitment, really heavily going after guys. You know, this is not a professional league, so there's no such thing as the word poaching. If you are of interest to me, I will go after you, because there's two types of people in this world. You can fall under a single category, okay, but you fit under one. There are people who are trying to help Manchester Titans win a national title, and there is everybody else. And that's it. That's it. So you fall under one of those two.
Truth, though. Truth.
You know, and so if you're in a position where you can help my team to win, I will go after you. And so we stepped up our recruitment. 2019, Fossey said it the other day when he was talking with Mika. He said that in 2019 we were ready to win a national title. Like that was our mentality. We were like, okay, we've done enough now. We're ready to win. COVID
100%.
hit. We didn't get there. 2020 we had a lot of people. Another thing Fossey said was that 2020 year, lots of people took it as a joke, like took it as, oh, we're just playing Div 1 teams and stuff. Why are you running up the score on Lancashire? Why are you scoring 80 points against Lancashire? Well, if you're not on the inside, you don't know the story as to how and why that happened. But that year wasn't a joke to us. We were getting our whole team, not just our starters, we were getting our whole team ready for a national title run. In 2022, here we are.
Silas, Mr. Fossey, let me ask you: when you woke up on the following day after you demolished, this team at the new River Stadium, describe the feeling.
It was a good feeling. Obviously, with myself, I won Prem National Championship back in 2013 with the Warriors.
Right.
So I kind of had an understanding like what the feeling felt anyway. So for me, it wasn't just like the same thing. Obviously, when you win a championship, you put in all this work. It feels great. But like it was a great feeling. I said it on the other podcast I was on. I've said it a few times. Like the main thing what was so good about that championship, it wasn't just personal. It was like for the whole team.
Yeah.
Like the whole team, from people like Sam that have took years on years to build this team with a group of other people, the people that have been with the team and they literally, this was their last year. They were retiring whether they win or lose.
Yeah.
it was just a good feeling to be able to wake up, see everybody post their pictures and be like, I never thought I would get this. I can't believe it. I'm happy. It's a good ending. So like, it was a good feeling seeing that more so. Because I think people that know me, and especially I think Sam mentioned it, Lucas knows it all the time. When I got here in 2019, obviously the goal was always national championship. But I think everyone will tell you on the Titans, I never shut up about it. Whether if we have a bad practice or we have not the best game for ourselves, if just something isn't going as perfect as people might think a championship team goes, no matter what, I always said we're winning championship. I said it in 2019, COVID stopped that. And then as soon as we kind of pushed into like 2021, 2022, I think the whole team just, from the collective, from the captains and the vets pushing it, the whole message was championship. If there's no championship, then the season's a failure. And that's what it was, because it's like what Sam said. The amount of people that we brought in, that developed, that have been there for years, developed from youth programs, brought in from other teams. No matter where they were at that point, everyone had the exact same goal.
Yeah.
Everyone knew what they wanted. Everyone knew who we had to go through to get that, and we did it.
Shout out JPG36. He says the boys. Yes, so we see you new to the Exs and Os podcast. Thank you for your post. Thank you for, like I said, if anybody wants to drop any questions for our special guests in the super chat, feel free to do those. And they have no choice but to endeavor to get around.
Drop the juicy questions. Whoever's in the chat, like,
there you go. Like
throw them at
us.
us.
There's no filter today. Like I said, Buffer ain't regulating nothing here. It's just X's and O's doing what X's and O's do with the Manchester Titans. Man, so just obviously this morning on my train journey to work, I just kind of looked at the game and looked at it from from a footballing perspective. You guys, it's no misconception. You guys were up, leading the half like 21-7. What was the vibe in the locker room? Because the Warriors had beaten you badly prior to this, right? There's no hiding from that. What was the vibe in the locker room at that point? Obviously, experienced guys like yourself, Sam, QB1, Sam Fossey. What was the general vibe in the locker room at that point?
I think that it can be summarized. Tom Jones scored a touchdown. Manchester product Tom Jones scored a touchdown, and as he runs into the end zone, he bows right in front of the camera. The camera is right on him, okay? And all of us, we all flood the camera. We all run towards him. We're screaming in the camera, and you hear the commentator say, "The Manchester Titans were never scared. Something like they've come to play," and that was our whole mentality. Like we've said this on other podcasts before, so we know it. And it's no disrespect for the Warriors. Like, do not ever disrespect the Warriors for what they've done. Like, you can't. Like, we didn't call them the Warriors. Like, second half, London. The Warriors has this mythical presence about it, and people are fearful of the Warrior name because of what they've done and stuff like that. We just broke it down. They're London. They're just like us, okay? They're just like us, and they can be beaten. And we just had to work really hard, have the right players in place, and have the right coaches in place. So at halftime, when we were up, no one was surprised. And obviously Warriors got that late touchdown, and that's a broken coverage play. Exactly, it's a broken coverage play, and these things happen in football. It's just unfortunate that it happened. It should have been a 0, really, but just happened. And I think one of my teammates, Adam Bamba, turned to me, the receiver for us who scored 2 touchdowns. He turned to me and he said something like, because that touchdown just happened just before the half. He said, do you think they'll come back into it? That's what they did against Tamworth. Tamworth was something like 17-0 up at the half, and they came back into it. And I just sat there for a minute and I kind of thought, and I was like, no, look at what we're doing. Look at what the defense is doing. Nobody does this to the Warriors. Nobody. And You know, there'll be lots of people who will say things like, you know, that D Williams was missing, and so the Warriors weren't at their full strength. Like, of course, the Warriors' offense would have probably clicked better with D in, but number one, don't disrespect Nick Jackett, because he's a national championship winning quarterback for the London Warriors himself. Like, he's not some chump. He's been playing 20 years just like me. I remember playing him at flag football in five-a-side when we were like 12 years old. Like, we're both like 32 years old now. Like, he's not some chump. So to disrespect Nick like that is like crazy to me. But then also, like, just the fact that you know, we came into that game and we were doing what we were doing, like, even the commentary is still kind of like shaken the whole game. We were not surprised at all. And so we're there at halftime thinking, we do what we have been doing and there's no problem at all. I remember seeing the moment where certain players clicked and realized we've done it now. Like, we've done it, and it wasn't at the final whistle. There were moments before that, like, where you know it's going to happen. Like, for me personally, we threw a deep pass to Ben Martin, who caught. It wasn't a touchdown, but it was on the left hand side. We threw a deep pass to Max Gracie-Ainscough, who had like 13 catches for 160 yards in that final. We threw one to Max, and I just threw it just over the top of him, and he was gassed, so he asked to come out. And so we put Ben Martin in, he's our speed receiver. So we put him in at outside, and number 2 came down in coverage, and he signaled to the safety. He did this to turn to him. That tells us, oh, you're going to go press coverage. So we were sat there licking our lips. We were like, right, let's do the exact same play. So we do the play action to hold the safety. We throw the ball over the top. Ben Martin gets it. We get like a 40 yard gain. I'm running upfield and I'm just screaming, Ben, Ben, Ben. And as soon as he turns around, I just did that.
Massive ring me, you know.
It's on the live stream. It's on the live stream. And you see Ben turn to me and go like this back.
Listen.
Like, it's on the live stream. And
there's a lot on the live stream. We'll get to that.
Yeah. And so, but for other people, it was when George, our safety, got the pick 6. There's guys who started like crying as George is running into the end zone because they realized there it is. So there was no doubt from us. And
rumor has it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rumor has it that George Slade couldn't stop running after that game and the pick 6 because apparently he ran all the way back to Manchester. Can you confirm or deny that? Because everyone's out here saying #Run George Run because he went. He was gone.
He was up. He made a great play.
He was gone.
Yeah. You know, it's really good because George is a guy who was here before me and before Sam and before Lucas, and he's been part of that squad when it was, you know, when they were down. That's probably a bit too much, but when they weren't quite at this level, and so he was pushing through that. And George is an awesome player, and he plays GB flag. And unfortunately for him this year, we brought in a guy who just happened to be really on a roll, Alex Eager. He's an ex-GB receiver, and he you know, Eager's an awesome safety. And if it wasn't for Eager, George would be starting. And I'm confident, so confident that on most other Premiership teams, George would have been starting that year too.
Easily.
So for George to make the play that he made against Bristol to seal the game for us, and for George to then make the pick 6 against the Warriors to seal the game for us there, like, I'm so happy for the guy. Like, it's just so awesome that it happened to him. And I feel like that was the moment for a lot of people where they realized, like, we've done it.
All right, Ben Roethlisberger. We hear you. Listen, let's start talking about Lucas. I'll get you later, but Sam, let's start talking about the defense because I have to say, shout out to Coach Luke Carlton fantastic performance, because to come with that swagger against an offense that we know, and that an offense that we know is lethal, proven lethal, killers. Let's just put it out there. Once they smell blood, that's it. Game party done. To do that, so what was the philosophy on defense for you, Sam?
So philosophy on defense is, so one thing, obviously, I've only been at Manchester for 2 seasons, if you want to count that, like however you want to look at it, 2, 3, maybe, whatever. So from my understanding, like, this is no disrespect, but Manchester's offense has always been top notch. It's always been up there. It's always, people know Manchester for offense. They score points. They know who the players are. They know who's there, what's happening. But the defense always was that one that wasn't talked about as much, wasn't kind of not up to par with the offense, but wasn't as known as the offense. And that's fair enough. It happens a lot in football. One gets known more than the other. So I think when I came in 2019, the first thing I wanted to do is install a mindset into the defense.
Right.
Like, the first people we compete with and get on the same level with are the offense. We need to be up to their level. We need to produce what they do. Because at the end of the day, when we get to practice twice a week against, quote unquote, the best offense in the country, how can you not beat other teams if you shut them down at times? So the mentality from 2019 was, right, this is it. Like, we're not going to be the forgotten unit anymore. When people speak about Manchester, they're going to have to mention both sides. So obviously 2019 got cut short. So then when COVID year come along, and we kind of, in a sense, we got blessed with a season that really didn't matter. That whole season was a build up to be, right, we're going to build our identity from here. Every team we go against, they're going to understand who we are as a defense, who we are as players, what our attitude are. Like, we're a mouthy defense. We'll back ourselves. We'll back ourselves. Like, we'll back you down to a corner. If you're a big player, we're a big player too. Like, we're not backing down. Because if you look at our defense, people might think we're undersized, and that's agreeable. Like, we're not the biggest of defense, but like on the whole, from starters to backups or whatever you want to call it, we're all dogs. Like, we're coming all game. So COVID year gave us the year to gel, to understand each other, to realize who we've got, what's it's about. And then when it came to 2021, 2022, like Sam said, with recruitment, we was like, right, this is what we've got on defense. Let's add some other things too. And then the people we brought in were the people that we had currently, and the people that we convinced to stay for another year at Manchester, because they were thinking about, should I leave? Should I not? So convincing the people that were already there that built it, the people that were there for a year through COVID in 2019, to the people we brought in, the mentality bar was set from the start. So people always said, when we played Tamworth game 1,
which was a bit mad, I can't lie.
It was mad, but so this is like a representation, because in game 1, if you look at the score, like halftime, I think it was 3-0. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, our defense has only been together as a starting unit this year. So there's been people scattered around for a while, but all the starters were a mixture of people that were here for a year, 5 years, 3 years, first year. So it was a new defense. And then when offense started clicking against Tamworth, and then we had the momentum to shut them down, like, respectfully to them, we dominated them game 1. Offensively and defensively, when we got rolling. But that takes nothing away from them, but we did. And then back to your question, like, when it came to the finals, or when it came to Tamworth 2, actually, I'll talk about that first.
Yeah.
They ran the ball on us heavily. They're like, we stopped them in pivotal moments, but they ran the ball very convincingly.
Mm.
And their touchdowns didn't come from the run. Their touchdowns came from a lot of not broken plays, but football plays, we'll call them. But other teams, after they saw that game, like Bristol and Warriors, they're like, oh, we're just going to run on this team.
Mm.
So then Bristol came up, and we were like, right, we've heard the talks. We've heard like, this defense ain't about it. They can't stop the run. Yeah. Bristol changed their whole offense in the first half and tried to do QB runs and inside zones the whole time. And we shut them down. They didn't get one first down the whole first half. So we kind of said, like, right, you think that you're going to do that to us, you're not going to do it. And then the game got close. It was a great game. Bristol's a great team. And then when it came to the finals, everyone was saying, you're not going to stop the Warriors' run game. You're not going to match up against their receivers. You're not good enough. I played against your defense. You can't stop them. I was like, cool. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Like, the preparation that went into that game was unreal. Like, the laser focus from the beginning of the season to the end of the whole thing was the goals for the defense were number one defense in the country, and then just be pure, like, dog mentality. We got each other's back, next man up mentality. Like, everyone's ready. Everyone's got the same goal. That's all it ever was. And then when it came to the Warriors, like said, respectful. They've got great players. They got great coach, everything. Our defense dominated. Our defense said, you know what, we smaller, but we don't hit you in the mouth too.
Boy.
And I think that was a different mentality. It's like, yeah, you done hit us, but we don't hit you back. So it wasn't like, oh, we got hit, like, damn, that hurt. It's like, cool, you hit me, we'll go back. So the whole mentality was, from the start, we need to be on the recognition of the offense at Manchester. It can't be offense anymore. It needs to be offense and defense. And then secondly, just best defense in the country, dog mentality. That's all it is.
So what we saying that Manchester currently has and will have for a couple of years the best defense in Britain.
So I'm gonna be honest. I'm an honest person. Right now, we're number 2 statistically. Warriors held on to it by, I think, 10 points. There was a couple of games where defensively we had some slip-ups that got some points we shouldn't have allowed. And it kind of hurt us on the statistics of being the second-ranked defense. But if you move to the final, I mean, I think we stapled ourselves as the best defense in the country. And that was year 1 together. So I think for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, no one's touching Manchester's defense.
We haven't lost anybody off defense, have we? Oh, one person we've lost, and recruitment's going well. So
very well.
You heard it here first. Because from where I was watching, and I had a lot of time to watch, the Warriors didn't have any answer for that D-line. They didn't have any answer for the likes of Cade Makin and Joe Partington.
Parton, yeah.
Joe is the most frustrating D lineman I've played against.
It was mad, and I was worried because I thought, you know what, okay, Warriors are going to do what they do, but they didn't. And that's not testament. That's not testament. That can't be just testament to them not performing or them not being up for it. You hear the rumors about them kind of being blasé in the introductory warm-ups, them not really rating you guys. And truth be told, they probably didn't rate you guys.
Yeah, but that was a mistake.
But that aside, you guys showed, listen, we're here to be respected. And I watched that the podcast when you had with Micah Reviews, and you were talking about over respecting your opponent. But you can also over disrespect your opponent.
You can do both. I think when it comes to that, like obviously we can't speak to how they approach the game as a team, as a coach. Like there's a reason why they're champions for the 8 years. Like there's a reason. So that could have been their way of doing things. It is what it is. We can never speak on that because we don't know the facts. But the thing is, obviously, everyone's always talk about the Warriors, and there's a reason for it. I've played there, I've been involved with it. There's a reason for it. But people need to start talking about Manchester because the way we do things is us. The way we juice up the sideline, the way we talk shit, the way we celebrate, like just everything about us is just, Manchester's in the building if we're there. You can tell a player plays for Manchester because we all have the same vibe. We all know what we've done. We all know what we're working towards. We all know what we've installed. But I think with the game prep, just speaking on that, I have to give massive, massive shout outs to our coaches. Literally, the build up to the semi-finals and finals was ridiculous. Like, I can speak from a defensive standpoint. For the semi-finals, we got a game plan document that was about 35 to 40 pages. And then we got a finals one that was exactly the same. So, like, we literally prepared everything down to the T.
Offensively, our offensive coordinator, Luke Carlton, makes game plan videos. And so he will make a video, post it onto a private YouTube account, locked YouTube account, and it will detail, he does this for every game. He'll detail the opponent's offense, what they have the tendencies of doing, how we're going to attack it, stuff like that, and our game preparation, our game mentality. And yeah, Fossey's right. Like, the game prep leading up to the semi-finals and the finals was just another level. Like, it's not that you need to necessarily prepare more. It's just that we need to cover all bases. And you're playing the top two teams in the South. So you know that they're going to have more in their arsenal. They're going to have more that you need to prepare for. So those videos end up being longer. Those documents end up being longer. So, you know, like, we're having like 2 extra practices a week before Bristol, and we've got like 60 guys turning up to those practices, like guys who are there, and they are saying, I am not going to be on the sidelines for this game. I am going to play against Bristol. So they are fighting in not like physically fighting. They're fighting for their spot in a non-contact practice or a very light contact practice, trying to make sure that they're not stood there. They've not come here to like participate. Most of our team, the way that I look at their mentality, no one's there to participate. They're all saying, I better play against Bristol because I'm working my arse off. And you know, the fact that we've got that level of turnout at practices before, you know, the final, when, you know, it's been a long season, like mentally, physically, it is draining. And the coaches, John Homer, Luke Carlton, and I won't go through all the positional coaches and GAs, but just they really stepped it up. And I think that just going back to what Fossey said before about the defense, like, when you're practicing against the defense that is not for the years prior, it was the offensive show at practice and on the field. It was always offense. Fossey came along, a few other people came along, the mentality changed, and then we start the year and we're having like 2-3 weeks worth of practice where I'm coming away from practice, like talking to my offense coordinator, furious because the defense are the most frustrating thing I've ever done. And I'm like, I know this is good in the long run, but you're killing me. Not Luke, like, just the defense is killing me, and it's so frustrating. And another thing that Fossey said before I wanted to touch on is just that me and Fossey both tend to take the lead on talks, and we'll take turns and we'll discuss who wants to take this talk, because we both have very different approaches, and there's different times for different mentalities, and we contrast massively, and that's good. Like, I'll never sit there and publicly disagree with Fossey. In fact, I don't even think I've ever privately disagreed with you, have I? Like,
no.
But
we have conversations, but we always come back to the same point.
Exactly. And the thing is I'm the kind of guy who will sit there and who will say, this team needs to be respected. They have this player. They've done this previously and stuff like that. But then you have Fossey who will come in with the balance and say, don't forget who we are, though. Like, don't forget who we are and what we've done and what we're capable of and all the work that we've put in. I think it keeps people both respecting their opponent and equally confident that, we're Manchester.
Yeah, that dynamic is definitely needed, and even in captain meetings, is the same thing. And also, whilst we were on the topic of sort of game prep, Sam Bloomfield mentioned that we've got those like hour-long prep videos for the offense. So we have a video for the offense, and then a separate hour-long video just for the offensive line, because this is the first team that truly sort of I've been at that recognizes, the importance of the position, and Luke puts in so much time, into us, into sort of our development, our understanding of what we're trying to do, and I think that is sort of the difference, and every person on that O line has sort of bought into that the entire year, and that's what you saw in the final.
Hey, listen, I'm just going to put it out there. I don't know if he's watching this, but I have to say, Adam Bamba, can I get your autograph, please? I'm your biggest fan.
Please don't.
From
Please
South
don't.
London.
Please don't. Please don't.
I'm your biggest fan. This,
Oh
for me,
God.
this is a potential Brit Ball Hall of Famer. He had double-digit touchdowns in the season. Sam, I want to ask you this. Sam, it's QB1. I want to ask you this. What impact does someone like Adam Bamba have on the Manchester's drive?
Crazy impact. Like if we look outside to Max Gracie Ainscough, who is this physical freak, like he's 6'2", he's absolutely shredded. He can bench press Lucas, like he runs like a 4.6 or something crazy, and he does not drop a ball. Like you look at him and you're like, that's the guy who is going to fucking lead this team, like in touches, in all that kind of stuff. And Max is a freak, and I'll talk about Max all day. Fresh is, he'll want me to say 6 foot, but maybe he's a little
consistent.
Maybe he's a little under that. But honestly, like the guy, the best thing about Fresh is not just his physical attributes, okay, but his understanding of space and his ability to create the space for himself and manipulate a defense using our playbook to create opportunities both for him and his teammates. He's really selfless, even though he gets like the majority of our passing touchdowns. Like I was speaking to another one of our receivers, Chris Winrow. He's a GB receiver for us as well. I was speaking to him the other day, and I just said, without Fresh, which is Adam Bamba, without Fresh, we don't win the national final. Like, that's how I feel. I know that he scored those 2 touchdowns, and I know that if we put one of our other fantastic receivers in that place, then maybe they do really well. But look at the whole season. Look at his whole body of work over the 5 years that we have been there, and because Bamba was one of the UCLan boys who came along with me and with our offensive coordinator Luke Carlton and Joe Nick and loads of other guys. But I don't know if people understand at this level how mental the game at receiver is. Like, he's so valuable because he manipulates space and manipulates players, and he just understands it. And he's just a phenomenal player, and his level of understanding of how to play receiver is incredible. And I'll be happy to get you an autograph.
Thank you. Sam, I want to ask you, because one thing that's jarring, KD Macon, my man is in the trenches, and my man doesn't wear gloves. That is for me, the most intimidating thing I've ever seen, as far as I can see. And I think there's another player, number 90 or 99. He doesn't 99. Wear gloves.
Charlie.
Farm boy.
Is KD making? Is he built different? Talk to me about him, man.
Lucas, do you want to take this one? You face him like every practice.
Yeah, no, he definitely is. Once again, it's something, even since I've been in Manchester for 2 years now, I've seen sort of the growth in him, sort of, in his approach to, trying to get to Team GB, sort of where he is now. And like he said in his player profile, he relies on speed, but he's also got a load of power. I think he's the closest, sort of physically and sort of game, sort of the way he processes the game is the closest I've seen to some of the sort of Americans I've faced in GFL. He's up there definitely. And yeah, he's got moves that he can hit you with, and he's just got that drive. Once he gets past the line, you see him chasing down quarterbacks that have rolled out the pocket, in the other direction, and it all stems from sort of what he does at practice. And the fact that this year we had about 15 D linemen on roster, something like that. And so those 4 guys that were out there starting really earned their spot and had to earn their spot. And even throughout the season, we've rotated heavily, and we've prepared that, as Sam said, that next man up mentality. But yeah, Leon, Cade, Joe, they've been, and Connor even getting to the sort of back end of the season. Those guys really set the tempo, and then Charlie getting back from his injury. I've not played against Charlie ever since I've been at Manchester. He's been injured, and then I saw him in the first game back, and he was absolutely throwing people around. So yeah, it is every practice is tough when you play O-line at Manchester, just facing those guys.
Shout out JPG 36 says, worst thing, run away from Cade as a running back, knowing he's going to get you from behind if he's left unblocked away from the play. I'm telling you, this guy looks like, plays like, and probably is a problem, a massive problem. And shout out to Cade Maker. Shout out to the whole Mancunian D line. Actually, you guys dominated in that game. Really, in fact, throughout the season, you guys completely dominated. Mad. So I heard you Mancunians, you party hard. What was the coach like? Did you take coach or train when you went back home from the 37-7 shocker?
I think it was split half and half. Like a bunch of us stayed in London for another night.
Okay.
So I think we were spread out. Like some people went back on the coach.
Okay.
So I don't know what that was about, but I know a good bunch of us were split all across London.
Okay.
So I think me and about 30 to 35 other players were just. So we went across from our hotel, and there's this little Turkish place. They were literally shutting. And then we knocked on the door, and we said to them, like, look, like, please, can we have some drinks, food? Like,
do you know who we are?
Yeah, like, we just won the championship.
I thought that's what you were going to say.
I was like, look, we got medals, like, and the owner literally turned around and said, everyone come in, we'll stay open, we'll cook food, give you drinks. So these guys stayed extra. Obviously, we looked after him, gave him some extra tips or not, but they stayed open. They looked after us, and it was just nice.
Mad.
I've heard that the coach, because we drove back, we drove back. I've heard that the coach was 5 or 10 minutes of wild behaviour.
Yeah.
And then a lot of sleeping.
Yeah.
And then I believe they got stuck.
Yeah.
They got stuck.
Shout out Sam Penfold in the building. Sam Penfold says, coach was good vibes until we got stuck at Stafford services at 12:30 to 1:30 a.m. Damn.
That's crazy.
But what we did after is quite a large group of us, probably about 30 people. In the day afterwards, we met up in a bar in Manchester. We got the live stream up on the big screen. We watched it back and we rewound the parts we wanted to rewind. And it was wild, man. There was all sorts of Manchester chants, and the trophy was there, and it was covered in in booze and lips, all sorts.
Trust me, man. So obviously, well, for some people it's jarring, but we in this national final or throughout this whole playoff pursuit, we heard or we saw the movement or this so-called movement, the blue milk movement, take Britball by storm. It even had me drinking full fat milk, even though I'm lactose intolerant, man. I'm out here drinking blue milk, even though I'm lactose intolerant. So tell me, how did this kind of movement come about, and what is the story behind this blue milk movement?
One guy.
One guy.
One Fossey.
So when me, Alex Cooper, and Ola, we were in Sheffield together, and the whole thing was we started creating a little defensive thing over there. We were always like, we said, I think it was when Leicester was up, when Leicester were in the Prem, and we beat Leicester, and Leicester's whole thing was, green milk. Okay. So obviously green milk, skim milk. So we was like, okay. So we were like, right, the reason why you lost because you drink skim milk and we drink full fat milk. And then
trust me, Daddy.
And it was just a one game thing, because it was like, right, they've been talking all this, so then we'll bring our own thing. Yeah. And then Ola's like the biggest hype guy in the world. Like, I've known him for years.
I know. Yeah.
Like, I met him back in when I went to Hallam for a bit.
Okay.
Like, Ola, I've known him since we were both little. Like, he's a young boy. But Ola, like, as soon as he kind of got it, it never went away. Mm. It was the staple of like Sheffield's defense. Like, it was Ola's thing. He always brought blue milk, drink your milk, yada yada. Every time we made defensive plays, like, you don't drink blue milk.
Yeah.
And then obviously we came over to Manchester, because when I came over, I was like, look, Ola, like, you need to come with me. Mm. Like, let's go do this together. He moved to Manchester, so he was already living there.
Okay.
And I said to him, like, I'm transferring, like, you need to transfer as well. Mm. And then literally it just never stopped. Mm. Like, the first thing you'll hear on the sideline when someone says, get loud for the defense, you hear him scream something, and it's like, all right, here we go.
Mm.
The thing is I used to, so when Fossey, Cooper and Ola were at Sheffield, we were obviously playing them as Manchester, and I never knew what the blue milk thing was about. So I'm going against all three of these guys.
Yeah.
They're all chatting shit. They're all talking about blue milk. And I don't know if they're smack talking me. I don't know what the hell is happening. But they're just loud in my face. And honestly, like, and I think Fossey's covered this before. Like, Sheffield Giants had no right being as good defensively as they were.
Yeah.
With the players that they had as a full team. Like, take Fossey, take Cooper, take Ola, and take maybe like one or two guys, and they, they're really good, they're really solid. But like, they had no right being the team that they were. But they always caused us problems. Like, in the years where in 2019, the year before Fossey moved to us, we played them at their place. This is an offense that concedes on average like 45 points a game. The game finished 6-0 and we scraped through. So like, just that energy and that noise, like, we're going against them. They're screaming blue milk at me. I got no clue what they're talking about. They come over, they explain it. I'm like, it's quite funny. Okay. But from time to time, when Ola is screaming at me in practice, blue milk, I'm like, I need a break, Ola. Like, it's relentless.
Shout out Leo Phil, we see you in the building, bro. Thank you for tuning in as usually, the free seats. Leo says blue milk to the world. We see you. Like I said, I'm glad that now we can clear that up for the fans and the many fans who are asking, what the heck is this blue milk?
People started showing up to games with cartons of milk with blue food dye. Blue food dye, They're turning the milk blue and they're pouring it down themselves like the picture on this video. Ola's covered in milk every game. Blue, literal blue milk. I'm like, I'm glad because it's noise and energy and I'm all for it. But I'm like, what is going on?
Mad. Mad. I am confused but happy at the same time. That's mad. That's mad.
Like I said,
Mm.
what we sell as Manchester, we're that. Like, we believe in what we sell. What we put out there, we believe in it. If we believe blue milk made us champions, then we believe blue milk made us champions. If you want to carry on drinking skim milk, then that's your problem.
They must.
my favorite thing is when a certain team in red this season tried to chant red milk, and they clearly were missing the point.
Yeah.
Red milk's even worse. Red milk's
No,
is water. Like, what's
I
that?
know.
It's good, man, because our whole mentality is noise and energy, and we call it juice. And we're not the first team to call it juice. There's nothing original in American football, so we don't care, but we've made it our own. And the reason we started doing juice was because some team did it to us, and our players started losing their heads. We're like, they're getting like 4-yard gains. This is back when I played for the Wolverines. We're playing EKP back in their glory days, which, you know, EKP respect, they're coming back up.
Yeah.
You know, we're playing EKP, they're getting like 3-4 yard gains, and their whole sideline is losing their minds. And we're like, why are you losing your heads over a 3-yard gain? But the effect that it had on us, we weren't focused on the game. We were like pissed. We were like, a 3-yard gain and you're celebrating. It got in our minds. So we started looking at ourselves and we were like, look at what it did to us. Look at the effect that it had. Like, look at what we can do. We can match that noise and energy, or we can be even more obnoxious. The thing is what a lot of teams do with their juice is they will go at their opponents. They will go heavy on their opponents, and they will start insulting and bickering with their opponents and stuff like that. And of course, even Manchester has the usual back and forth with the people that they're playing. Like, it's football, you're going to have run-ins and stuff like that. You know, Fossey is not a nice guy, as nice as you might seem right here, okay? The most of that defense are not nice people, okay? But what we do differently is we make it all about us. So if we get a 3-yard gain, we'll celebrate that like it's a touchdown. And the thing is, and Luke Carlton did a talk on our offense at the BAFCA convention, where he talked about juice, he talked about hype and energy, and what he did is he showed our offense doing plays, scoring touchdowns. 11 players run to the person who scored a touchdown. Like, well, 10. So you'll find all of us going towards the end zone to celebrate the touchdowns in the final against Bristol, against every other team. All 11 of us, we must be in that end zone because we practice all week throughout the year to score touchdowns. So we're going to go and celebrate them. Also, when all 11 players are walking back from the end zone towards your sideline and you're all hyped up and juicy, you're passing their players. I don't need to say anything to their players to make them feel shit. They know that they've just conceded a touchdown, and that's never good. No. So you automatically are in their heads through celebrating with your team. And we don't care who knows it, because if you can't stop it, or you don't end up stopping it, you can't help but feel shit about it. So what Luke did in his BAFCA talk is Lucas, Adam Bamba, and our right tackle, Owen Smith, made the Northern All-Stars squad. And the not the year that's just gone, but the year prior to that, we scored this crazy touchdown. Marcus Abansky, Angus Cook for Tamworth.
Shout out Angus Cook.
Past this like crazy falling over touchdown to Mark from London and Sheffield, and it was awesome. Like we scored this touchdown. 3 players ran to that end zone to celebrate with Mark. Lucas wasn't even with us yet, but he was one of them.
Actually, no. It was Scott. Scott was playing O-line. So it was Scott, Owen, and Fresh.
Scott
Tomlinson, yeah.
Go watch
That's
the
how I
tape,
met him.
Lucas. You run over to
It looks
Mark.
like you, Lucas. I can't lie.
You run over to Mark. You're in your GFL 1 helmet. You're in your Razor
Yeah.
Base
You
helmet.
and Scott look very different.
Yeah, very different.
It might be me.
Yeah.
You run over to
Yeah.
Mark. Owen runs over to Mark. And Fresh runs over to Mark. None of the other players on that North team go over to celebrate that touchdown. It's just built into us. Like, we know what is required of us at all times. Noise and energy, juice. It's not just because we're hyped up and we're happy that we're doing well. It's a job. It is our job to do that, because through the process of that, we are mentally breaking down our opponents. Okay. And if I don't want to make anybody necessarily feel shit like long term, but within the 60 minutes of that game, you fall under one of two categories, and that's it.
Yeah, it's such a sort of big thing for us that I remember. I think it was the Bristol game, or either the final. One of the games we scored quite a long touchdown, like it was like a 40-yard touchdown, and I'm there just running down the field, sprinting, screaming, and the ref was
The juice.
yeah, the ref was so annoyed with me that he gave me a warning for it. He's like, "Don't do that again." I'm like, "Okay."
No, I hear you, man. That's it. So, what's the vibe like outside of off the gridiron? It seems that you guys got such a you're very tight knit, you're very close bunch. Do you guys go to each other's? Are you godfathers, or you go to each other's kids' parties? Do you go to each other's birthday parties? Is there like a close vibe in the camp?
There's different levels. Like,
Yeah.
you have, I wouldn't, some people will go to a club and they might call, like, friendship groups, they might call them cliques. Like, the U-Clan boys, we're all really close because we've known each other for 10 years. Like, but equally, like, I'm going out for food tomorrow with Fossey and with our running back, Joe Nick. And like, I've been to like Joe Nick's daughter's birthday parties, and so has Fossey and stuff like that. The D-line and the O-line and the DBs are so tight knit. Like, they go out for food. Fossey, was it not last weekend you were out for food with the DBs?
Last weekend, the whole DB unit went out to eat. I think the weekend before that, me and Lucas went out to eat. So like, we're super close.
Yeah, after the Merseyside game, I believe Merseyside away, there was a whole bunch of us in a hot tub at Googie's house.
We were at Googie's house drinking beer in his hot tub. His lovely wife Becky's like bringing over Heinekens and all sorts of beer and stuff like that, and we're all there talking about the game and talking about the the Natty final and stuff like that. We still got like 4 or 5 games to go, but Googie was just like, guys, open invite. One of our players, our centre, Johnny Morehouse, he got married after the Bristol game, and he just posted on our players chat. He was like, guys, weddings next week. Obviously you can't come to the meal part, but as soon as it hits 6 o'clock, you're all welcome. So like 30 players like turn up. We're all on the dance floor. Like, there's juice on the dance floor. Like, we're ready to go. Like,
It's a good vibe.
It's tight knit, and it's really like, it's so tough to balance being this serious, professional, dedicated team and having loads of fun. But we've just found the balance, and the thing is that filters down from the coaches, that filters into the captains, filters into your positional kind of veterans and leaders. So then when rookies come along, or guys who are new to the team, like, you either buy in or you're the odd one out. Like, people might come from teams where like practice attendance is not that big of a deal. Here, it's a big deal. Like, obviously, people have certain situations that they need to navigate, and that's between them and the coaches, and that's fine. But for the most part, like, you are expected to be at practice. You are expected to watch tape. You are expected to communicate. Like, these bare minimum requirements are actually really high standards for an amateur league.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, that's what makes us so professional. That's what makes us so successful. That's what makes us so tight knit, because the culture is so defined and so planned out that if you are not meeting the bare minimum requirements, it stands out. Like, and you don't want to be that player who's not doing what everybody else is doing.
I think to add into that, like with being as close as we are as a team, like Sam said, like there's a group of people that have known each other for 10 years. Like I'll talk to myself, like personally, obviously I've known them from playing against them for like 2 to 3 years, but I've never had conversation outside of games. It's the only conversation I really ever had with anyone from Manchester was Sam trying to recruit me. Like that was it. Like I never spoke to any others. Like we all kind of just knew each other from football. But like when I came in, it did, because we're so close as a team. It might sound a bit cheesy to people because it's an amateur sport, but that's the reason why we play so hard for each other. Because it's not just like, oh yeah, we're showing up to practice. You're just the guy I see twice a week, whatever. It's like after practice, we're still talking, we're still sending messages. We're like, how's your family doing? Do you want to play some Warzone? Do you want to go eat some food? We're still being friends. So like when it comes to games and we see one of our players like down or something's not working, it's not like some toxic behavior. It's like, whatever, sort yourself out. We pick each other up, we push each other. So I think when that brings into how close we are as a team, obviously not every team's gonna be the same, because you're not just going to get on with everyone. That's just life. But when you create those friendships, again, cheesy as it is for amateur sport, you don't want to see your friend, your good friend, your brother, whatever, feeling down. You're like, right, let's go win. Let's go feel good. Let's go play.
Yeah.
And I think that builds into it.
I think also, the sort of the comfort you feel around the team. We've got age ranges from like 19 to early 40s, and all those guys sort of get along. There's a level of mentorship in the team, and also guys that were in our team that weren't necessarily like getting many reps. Our sideline was such a good place to be, in terms of this vibes and sort of supporting each other and teaching each other. You see more senior players like breaking plays down for younger players, and there's a few guys that turn into sideline comedians. But it's
for example,
Fresh is one of the greatest. I'll give him his respect. Him and Winrow are top notch.
I heard about Winrow. Yeah.
I think I was talking to somebody not too long ago who talked about their experience with joining Titans compared to their experience with joining a different team, and they mentioned about somewhat they felt a lot more welcomed at Titans because they felt like people made the effort to talk and communicate with them. And there'll be people out there who might be right now considering joining the Titans and stuff like that. And that's great. I'm really happy about that. I probably already talked to you, but there'll be people out there who would like have doubts or concerns. Will I fit in? Will they welcome me? Like I played for this team, their rival team, like, will they welcome me, or they might not respect me in that way? It really comes back to that mentality of the two categories. If you're with us, then you are with us, and we will fight for you, and we will go to the ends of the earth for you, to teach you, to develop you. Like, we know that people come to us because they want to go to Europe. We know that people come to us because they might want to get into GB, or they might want a chance at winning a national title. Like, but if you buy into the culture and you do the bare minimum requirements, okay, well, and beyond, because if you want to play, you have to go beyond the bare minimum. Then you're with us. We respect that, and you're one of us. Like, we got time for anyone and everyone who is part of our group and who is saying, I am going to do what's required of me to win that national championship for Manchester. Because ultimately, the whole mentality is our whole team is a jigsaw. Like, I'm the quarterback, and so I'm the one that's supposed to allow to be a diva and pull strings and stuff like that. But like in 5 years, I probably missed 10 practices. Like I have the mentality of I cannot miss practice. If I miss practice, everybody else suffers. Like if Fossey misses practice, his mentality is everybody else suffers. He suffers. Like, and I don't value myself necessarily higher than our third or fourth rotation receiver or our third or fourth rotation cornerback or offensive lineman, because ultimately the team's success comes down to everybody's buy-in, everybody's effort, everybody's work ethic. And ultimately, yeah, I'm a champion right now, and Fossey's a champion, but the team is the champion. Like, the team will live forever, and you know, that 2022 team's going to live forever, and every single person name who's registered with that year, their name will live forever because of the work that they put in that year at practice, outside of practice, on game day, regardless of their statistical contributions. Like, they put in that work for us, and so they are a champion with us.
And sort of to quickly to piggyback.
Just going to get my laptop charger.
No problem.
To piggyback off what Sam said, you know, every team, you know, there's egos. You know, if you consider yourself a good player, you're gonna have an ego because that's sort of what follows with it. But we never let those egos harm. Yeah. Oh yeah. But we never let those egos harm the good of the team. You know, we always prioritize the team, and you know, you've got to make sacrifices throughout the year. You know, we've got guys, you know, traveling, like doing 3-hour round trips to get to practice. You know, and that's just sort of what it takes. You know, you have to sit there and explain to your like significant other, you know, why you're doing this and sort of why it's important. So yeah, it doesn't come easy.
Shout out, that's deep. Shout out Sam Penfold in the Free Seas. He says that's a good question. He says, do you think people in the South will take the Titans seriously yet, or will they continue to write us off? I'm gonna flip that. I'm gonna ask that to you, Mr. Fossey. What do you think? Because obviously you've had your foot in both ends. You used to go dark. Now you drink. Now you drink only blue milk and blue milk only. So, what do you think about that statement? From Sam Penfold. What do you think about that?
So, there's a thing about Britball that the South's better, and for a very long time, it has been. You can't argue it hasn't. Whether you're talking about, I believe Coventry was in the South when they were dominating. Then you had the Blitzers run. Then you had the Warriors run. There's been snippets of Northern teams developing one good year, getting all the players, winning, and then disappearing. So yeah, you can't argue the fact that if you rack up the numbers, the South dominated. You can, no matter what the way I look at it is, the South is a lot more diluted than the North. If you look at the North Division, every team is spread out. It's a minimum hour drive plus to every team, no matter where you are.
Okay.
So there's not kind of just a place where it's like, right, all the good players can go to here with ease, or this and that. It's very spread out. So kind of normally a lot of the time in the North, what your team has is what your team has, unless you develop it through youth, through uni system, so on and so forth. If you take the two London teams, for example, they're in London. It's the capital of the UK. They've got however many millions of people, like whatever. Like they have so many things on their doorstep. So the recruitment's maybe a bit easier. Because obviously I'm sure we'll get into recruitment a bit later.
Yeah, I understand. Come on, yeah.
Because we've got some dates coming up that I'm sure everyone wants to know about on the podcast. But so London's a lot easier. Like there's two teams to pick from. They're easily access to get to. So yeah, South's dominated. But to answer the question, if you're not gonna take the Titans or even Tamworth or potentially one of the two Scotland teams seriously moving forward, then it's a mistake. Because if you don't look at, if you just want to talk about us as Titans, if you don't look at the body of work that we put in from recruitment, from the beginning of the year, from youth, from recruitment from other teams, from women's, from bringing in coaches to make the team better, for bringing in other like showing up to practices, players traveling, like Lucas said, 3-hour, 2-hour round trips just to get to the team. Like I'll say it live, the Titans aren't going anywhere.
Mad. So what we say?
If Britball had, I'm gonna say Britball has to go through Manchester if you want a championship.
Gee.
Like it used to be London, and it most probably, respectfully, London are both gonna be there. They're not gonna disappear. But if you want a Britball, you're gonna have to face Titans and earn what you're gonna get, because we're not going anywhere.
So what we say, Mancunian Britball dynasty is not gaslighting, yeah?
No.
That's the aim.
That's the aim. There's posts all over our Facebook group saying we're not coming here for 1 year. Like Luke Carlton, our offensive coordinator, you won't hear much from Luke Carlton, offensive coordinator, on social media. But if you come even close to him on the sideline and you're on the opposing team, because he's one of the biggest driving forces of our culture on this team. Like he is an enormous driving culture, and he's one of the least. He'll be really nice to you like after the game. But honestly, he's one of the least nice people you could hope to meet if you're on a different team. And his mentality this whole year has been dynasty. And he said that word multiple times. Now, I'm a person, I might not even say the word playoffs until we get there. That's my focus is like, okay, well, we got Sandwell next, though. Like, the whole year, guys like Fossey, he's that side from me. Guys like Fossey, guys like Luke Carlton, they're sat there saying dynasty. And we know teams, Bristol are getting that. Fossey said it on Micah's show. Bristol now are getting to where they should have been years ago with all the resources they have and all the recruitment possibilities they have. Like, Bristol are going to be a legit team for years to come.
Oh, yeah,
probably.
definitely.
Like, they're doing it now. Like, and don't count London Blitz out, because Blitz are Blitz. They've got great coaches. They'll always have access to great players. And, Warriors are Warriors. Like, Warriors will be trying to recoup now and bring those guys back from Europe, bring in new blood. They've got the NFL Academy guys to talk. Sorry, I just read Leon's comment. NFL guys to bring in and stuff like that. Like, we understand the challenge that's before us. Like, as I said before, winning is not easy. But as Fossey says, we can't forget who we are. Like, we're Manchester, and we work for it. Like, I'm not even going to come close to showing anybody what I've got on this other tab right now, but it's called Titans Roster Recruitment 2023, and like I've got to scroll down to a different page to see the full list.
It's a big list.
Like,
it was
why?
Don't disclose if my name's on there. Don't disclose if my name's on there. So I've got keep it PG.
I think we are like 40 odd days removed from a national championship, and we are deep into recruitment. Like, we're taking trips to universities. We are having phone calls with people. Like, it's work. It's hard work, but I think that if we were to be relaxed and say, "Oh, people will come to us. We've just won the title, so people will come to us." That's not how.
QB1. Let me slow you down. Obviously, you're 20 years in the game. You're one of the stalwart veterans in the game. Yeah, and the proof is in the pudding. Who's next up for you for me? Because you're in a key position. You said you're almost like a leader in the team. Yeah, both on and off the field. So, what in terms of recruitment and in terms of, because I'm a firm believer in grassroots football and growing your own and youth and empowering the youth to be the young bucks coming up, right? What is kind of Manchester's kind of methodology or vision in terms of recruitment in a nutshell?
Without blowing my own horn a bit, I, for the past 3, 4, 5 years, essentially relentlessly recruit people. I message people. I message them on Facebook, on Instagram. I will get hold of them however I can. I will try and find out what motivates them, and then I will go from that angle. Like, I don't know if I should admit this or not, but I'm going to. Every single message that I send to somebody I'm trying to recruit is well thought out. It might seem like I'm having a general chit-chat conversation with somebody, but I'm not. Everything is planned. Everything is well thought out. I'm talking to Fossey about it right now, about the approach that we take with certain players that he's kind of chasing, the approach that I'm going to take with certain players. In terms of a philosophy, like there's not one snappy like phrase or keyword or anything. Like we want people who are going to both contribute to Manchester right now, and we want people who are going to contribute to Manchester in years to come. Like we said, we're wanting to have this dynasty in Manchester. We're the second biggest city in the UK. We're the best city in the UK. I said it. And we want to make sure that we're prepared. So, like, people might think, oh, is Sam recruiting QBs, though? Like, he doesn't want someone to come and compete with him and take his position. Like, I've got 4 QBs on my list. One of them is a GB quarterback. Like, I want those guys to come through because I want them to learn our system. I'm 32 years old. I feel like I'm 23, 24, thanks to guys like Lucas.
Yeah.
And
Blue Milk.
you know,
Blue Milk.
and all the blue milk that I drink. Yeah. And so I'm sat there thinking, well, I could do this. I could go Tom Brady on this. Like, I could keep going and keep going. But ultimately, Monday mornings are harder than they've ever been. And I'm barely getting hit now. Like, I started off, I played linebacker for like 7-8 years. Then I moved to receiver with Lancashire. I only ended up at quarterback of Manchester by mistake. And to say that I used to play those positions, like I was not a friendly receiver. I loved contact. And at quarterback, I still love contact now. I'll cut block anyone I can. But Monday mornings are hard. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, how will Monday mornings be in 2 years' time? So I'm bringing in like a GB level quarterback so he can learn our system so that I can sit there and say, okay, you know, we're just starting the second half of this game. We're in a comfortable position. Like, Luke, you have the ability to take me out and let's develop our guy. Like, that's fully what Luke wants as well. So we are both bringing in people for right now, but we're also bringing in as many grassroots guys as possible. Like, there's a load of GB under 19s guys. I'm talking like 20 guys who are from the north or Midlands area who are within what we would call like our bracket, you know, a 2-hour journey, because Lucas is traveling 3 hours. I travel an hour 15. Fossey travels an hour and a half. Like, our mentality is it can be done. People might need to travel, but we can bring in like 10, 15 GB under 19s guys who will really develop in our system because they're playing against the best players in the country twice a week. We're competing with the best players in the country twice a week in practice. They're getting coached by some of the best coaches in the country. They're then going on game day and getting reps and playing against the best teams in the country. Like, there's no better place to develop, really. And the thing is back in 2017, when there was less of us and less talent and less coaching staff and stuff like that, it was all about working with what we had. Now, our coaches are so focused on developing players' skills and attributes and their mentality and their ability to digest the game and read coverages and things like that. Like, we're legit like developing players, like trying to turn them into athletes so that, in 2 years' time, if you want to go off to Europe, like, we'll be proud of that because we helped contribute to that. And you got what you wanted. You got your semi-professional contract. You got a ring, 2 rings, 3 rings, whatever it might be. We got our championship. And through the process, we're going to also be bringing in more people. So constant turnstile. Yeah. We have like maybe 5 or 6 leavers this year. That's it. 5 or 6 people who are stepping away and retiring. The rest of the team is coming back because we said from the start, it's a dynasty. Like, that's what we're looking to build. And, you know, every other team, every other person that's not with us is in our way. And I want the best people on our team to help us do that, young, old, whatever they are, as long as they can contribute and buy in.
Quick question. Obviously, Paris, You all know Paris, or Sam, you might know Paris more than anything. But he's had a lot to say in the
Oh, we
past.
know Paris. You don't need to say. You might not know Paris. We know Paris. We got bulletin boards.
No, yeah.
We got receipts as well. We got receipts as well. It's fine.
Yeah, we see. Paris asked a good question. He was like, I don't know if you're to ask. He said, "What's the difference between the 2018 roster and the current championship team, and what would happen to a hypothetical match between the two?" If you can answer that.
I wasn't there, so I can't answer it. I'm out.
There's a big foundation of players that were here in 2018, huge, like maybe 2 or 3 of our offensive line. I was still here. 1 or 2 of our major players at running back were here in that year. 1 or 2 of our major players at receiver. Like defensively, probably there's a lot of change defensively. 2018 Manchester Titans would not stand a chance against 2022 Manchester Titans. And I love that. I love that because 2016 Division 1 playoffs first round exit against Sandwell Steelers. 2017 National Championship win in Division 1. 2018 second place, get destroyed by London. 2019 narrowly missing out on first place, still get destroyed by London. And now look at that progression. Like everybody looked at that and stepped up. The new guys who came in, they saw what we were doing, the established players there, and they said, well, I've got to do that. That's what they're doing. I've got to do that. So it wouldn't be close. And I'm fine if people sit there and say that we're a mercenary team or whatever, or people come in. But the best part about it is people join us. Very few people leave us. Since I've been here in 2017, very, very few people have left us. Like everybody's still here. Like the worst thing that happened in BAFA in the past few years is that they changed the rules around numbers, so you can't have duplicate numbers. So we can have 0 to 99. I got no idea what we're gonna do.
It's a madness. It's a madness. Wow. We could be here all night, but obviously I've got a train ticket to Manchester tomorrow. I've got to personally go and pick up some blue milk, so I have to get to bed early. But listen, there's a question I'm going to put. Obviously, it's customary. We always have our cap of the day in our podcast. Sorry, Mr. Fozzie, you're not allowed to answer this question because I know you won't, because you're still media trained. But cap of the day. Tony Allen refused to offer handshakes at the football final because he had sprained his wrist. What do you say, QB1? Respect.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
So you're not allowed to turn away, man.
Okay. I'm gonna go real professional here. Yeah. All right. And Lucas, you're not gonna get what you want out of Lucas. So okay. At the broader picture, what happened after that game we weren't too happy about it. You know? But that's their prerogative. If that's what they want to do, then they can do that, and it doesn't affect our win. And honestly, it really motivates me to want to meet them again. They obviously will be really motivated for this coming year. They will be. And I'm glad. I want to play the best and I want to beat the best. And whilst I don't believe it, maybe they beat us next year. And I'll shake their hands and I'll collect my silver trophy, my silver medal. And that'll be that. But I heard something, and I cannot in good faith disclose it on live like this. I heard something about Tony that is pretty serious, and I think that it's somewhat of a decent reason as to why maybe he might not have gone through that whole process. Okay. I think people will have noticed that Tony was potentially late out in the second half. He didn't come out with the rest of the team, and so there might be something going on with Tony that he needs to tend to. And so, yeah, it's annoying, but it doesn't annoy me enough that I lose sleep over it. Like,
No.
people do things their own way. Some people didn't shake our hands at all, and I'm okay with that. I'll offer my hand, win or lose, and I'll take the dub or I'll take the L.
Jeez. So you hear it here for QB1, the Manchester Titans. QB1 finishes with, I'll take the dub, I'll take the L. It's all love. Like I said, this is brick ball. It's either you dominate or you don't. It's either you're forever in Manchester or you're not. But at the end of the day, Titans up, baby. Like I said, thank you. Appreciate you guys coming on the show. I feel like we need a part 2.
We
maybe
do.
a little preseason or
You want to get the
pre-season.
DBs on. Just get the
Hey.
5 DBs on. You will never leave.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Just don't
I
even
can
talk.
set
Let
it
them
up.
talk.
Trust me. Most
If you want us 5, I'll set it up for you.
Hey, listen, we might have a little weekly or every monthly show. Who knows? Like I said, it's a
Manchester
vibe,
Monthly. There we go.
Trust me. You know. But like I said, appreciate you guys coming on the show. All you guys in the free seats, appreciate you. The super chats who are popping off today, really appreciate the love and support. Like I said, the Mancunians always bring the party and they always bring the vibe, and we appreciate that every day. Like I said, like, share, subscribe on all things at Exs and Os team. Like I said, as I said initially, we have our merchandise, which is dropped now via Football America UK Teamwear store. So go and cop that. Anything you want to shout out in terms of any of your sponsors or any you want to link them to your page, or who can people reach out for in terms of getting to recruitment or getting potentially trials or tasters coming up?
I'll say my one thing. If you want to win a championship again, you need to know where you need to be. You need to be in Manchester. If you want a championship, just transfer to Manchester, then we can carry on the conversation from there.
If you
Listen,
want
I'm not letting you get away. What do you want to say to Tony Allen right now, Mr. Fox?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Nothing at all. Like honestly, my whole conversation on the Warriors, without that team, there's no me. There's none of my achievements. There's none of my whatever people think of me in this sport. Like, without them, there's not me.
Right.
So, like kind of Sam said, however people handle themselves, it is what it is. Like, there's reasons behind everything, but there will never be a bad word that comes out of my mouth about that team. Because without the Warriors, without Tony Allen, Jerry Anderson, Jeff Brown, Adam, Marvin, like, there's no me.
Yeah, legends.
So like that no matter what's said, that team is just my respect for life.
I think if you do want to transfer to the Manchester Titans, or you at least want to come down and see one of our practices and participate, we got 2 experienced player days. You have to have played football before. You've got to bring your own kit, full kitted practice. We got one on the 12th of November. That's Manchester Bellevue, where we play our home games. And we got one on the 10th of December. Anybody is welcome. You just go to the Manchester Titans Instagram page, click the link in the bio, sign up to the Experienced Player Register. You can DM the Titans page. Someone will pick it up. You can DM me. You can DM Fossey. Whoever, just get in touch. And literally, we don't post anything about who's come along because we don't want anybody to get in any bad shit with their team. But some people come along literally just to experience what our practices are like. Other people come along and think, well, if I like it, then maybe I'll consider it. And other people already know. So what's the worst that can happen? You come along and you hate it. That's it. Or maybe you think the worst thing that happened is you come along and you love it.
100%. 100%. Jeez! Forever Manchester, you see it and heard it here first. Like I said, we could have been here all night. This is a vibe. Thank you guys for coming on. Lucas, Sam, and the other Sam. Like I said, appreciate you guys coming on. Wish you all the best for the upcoming season, pre-season. Stay healthy. And like I said, peace and love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.